Hi everyone, welcome back for another session of the Relaxing Fertility Yoga sponsored by the Fertility Partnership. My name is Julie and I just want to welcome all of you here today, and by all of you that includes both women and men. So these sessions, they are designed so that any woman going through the IVF process is safe to do them. But again, please don't let that put you off, whether you're not currently going through IVF or whether you are a man not physically participating in all of those processes. These sessions are gentle, and we do avoid things like deep twists, core work, inversions, anything particularly intense. The idea here is that we are spending some time to help downregulate the nervous system, to reduce the cortisol levels, just to generally bring the stress levels down. And that's just important, period, in life, for the functioning of our bodies, for the functioning of the reproductive system, and just also for living a healthier, more peaceful, joyful existence. So we will start this session with a centering and breathing exercise, and then we'll move into some warm-up movements. And then from there, we'll flow through some postures and then relax at the end. As always, again, even though these sessions are gentle, that might mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that something will always feel right to you. So if something doesn't feel right to you, please don't feel like you have to do it. You don't have to do anything. Just take this time, this hour, to nourish your body, nourish your mind. See if you can practice even enjoying your body, enjoying that slow down. So often we get into these very hyper states and these very stressed out states. And so many of us live almost with anxiety as a lifestyle, right? Some of you will understand exactly what I mean, and others of you might not. But some of us live with anxiety as a lifestyle. It's like, I have to be doing something. I have to be doing something all the time. So it might be hard to slow down. And if you do find it hard to slow down, see if you can just be curious. Be curious about your experience right now of going, okay, 1 hour to just be. Okay? I am at home, which means that I do have 2 dogs and 2 cats that you might hear or that you might see at some point in the session. But see if you can just allow that to be part of this present moment, and just allowing other creatures to live their lives. Same on your end. So if you've got some pets on your end, or if you hear your neighbors or anything like that, see if you can let go of the desire to control and just flow with what is. Okay? So we're going to start with that centering and breathing. And for that, you can either sit or you can lie down. Now, also, last thing to say, please feel free to use any props that you have available to you. So that can mean just things you have around the house, little pillows, cushions, blankets, things like that, things that are going to keep you comfortable and snuggly. But then likewise, if you have yoga props, bolsters, blocks, straps, and you want to use those, please feel free to do that too. Okay? So first thing to do for that centering and breathing is just decide whether you'd like to sit or lie down. Now, if you've been at a desk all day or driving around all day, I definitely recommend coming down onto your back. So if you come down onto your back, you have 2 options here. You can either just let everything flop out, or you can bend your knees and place your feet on the floor. And in this position like this, you can also just let the knees tip together if that feels more comfortable for you. The knees bent with the feet on the floor is gentler on your lower back. So if you have lower back sensitivities or strain, definitely bend your knees and put the feet on the floor here. Okay? If you prefer to sit, that's totally fine. You can either sit up tall or you can come onto a bolster or a cushion for that. All right? So just find what feels right for you. Again, whether you're sitting or lying down. And then once you find that position, take a few rolls of your shoulders. So you're going to inhale, roll the shoulders up, and exhale them down and back. And again. And one more. And then exhale, relax your shoulders down. Close your eyes. And take a few deep inhales through the nose, with exhales sighing or blowing the air out of the mouth. Then once you've sighed out a few times, just let the natural rhythm of your breath take over again. And start to notice your breath. Notice where it lands in your body, whether it's coming into your chest or further down into your belly. And whatever you find in this practice, practice noticing without judgment. So there's no need to label anything as good or bad. There's no one way that you should be. There's no way that you should think or feel. It all just is, as it is right now. And then take the awareness and bring it to your mind. And notice the quality of the mind this evening. How open or closed it is, how busy or quiet. Likewise, notice if there are any thoughts on repeat, if your mind is feeling very distracted, or if it's a bit quieter, emptier. And again, there's no need to judge this. Just settle into an awareness. And then bring your awareness to your heart or to your emotional body. And just notice how you're feeling. And again, try to avoid resisting anything. Practice allowing. And then just notice anything there is to notice about your body. Let the awareness roll through your body. Where are you feeling open and relaxed physically? Where are you feeling more tight, or are there spaces of injury or pain? Again, practice allowing rather than resisting. And then start to notice the interactions between your mind, your body, your breath, and your feelings. Often, if we're feeling anxious, the chest might feel tight. Stress might creep up into the shoulders, into the upper back, or into the face or the hands even. If we're feeling joyful, we might feel very open. So just notice. Notice those interactions right now. And know that this is the nature of yoga. Yoga actually means to unite. So by bringing focus to the mind, to the breath, to the body, we help this whole ecosystem that we have to calm down, to drop in, to hopefully just feel better. So knowing that, let's take the awareness and bring it back to the breath. And just start to deepen the breath through the nose. Inhale through the nose and take the breath down into the belly so that the belly rises with the inhale. And then exhale back out the nose and feel the belly roll back towards the spine. If you're newer to this, you might want to have a more tangible experience of your breath, in which case, place your hands on your belly so that you're inhaling through the nose, and you can feel your belly expanding into your hands. And then exhale out the nose and feel the belly contract back. And let's take this a little bit further now. So we're going to inhale through the nose, fill up belly, ribs, and chest. So we're combining diaphragmatic and thoracic breathing. And then we exhale out the nose, chest, ribs, and belly contract. If you want a more tangible experience of that, you might place a hand on the chest and another on the ribs, or you can keep one on the belly. So just take a few breaths here, just starting to really activate and fill up your lungs. For those of you newer to this, yogic breathing is known as pranayama, and there are many types of pranayama. So this is a basic dirga breath. It's our most foundational breath within yogic breathing. So if you're newer to this, stay with this for now. For those of you that might want a little more, you can come into your ujjayi or your ocean wave sounding breath. And you create that breath by constricting in the back of the throat in the epiglottis. So it's a bit like inhaling and exhaling the word home, as in the place where you live, home through the nose. So you create this audible wave sound. So like the tide or a surf. So I'll get a little closer to the microphone for this. So again, it's just this constriction as we breathe. And we're breathing through those same three parts. Now, if this doesn't feel right to you, please don't feel like you have to do this. And in fact, the ujjayi breath doesn't usually feel good if you've had a cold recently. So if you've had a sore throat or a cold, just forget that idea. If you're newer to it and you're playing with it, sometimes you can activate the vocal cords when you're first learning this, and that's part of practice. So it's just practicing, and the vocal cords aren't actually activated once you get into the hang of it. But yeah, feel free to just play with that. The ujjayi breath is a deeply calming breath. It's also a breath that allows for there to be some warmth drawn into the body. So however you're breathing, I'd like you to take about another 5 or so breaths here and see if you can really just anchor your mind into the breath. So it's just inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This is the only place where the mind needs to be right now. Take another breath here. And then start to mentally ready yourself for movement. And just in your own time and in your own way, draw some movement back into your body. So just let yourself start to stretch out, roll around, yawn, sigh. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. And then let's begin by coming down onto the back. So you might already be on your back, in which case Great. Stay there. Okay. So if you're not on the back, just go ahead and start to bring yourself down. And then once you come down onto the back, just place your feet on the floor, bending your knees. If you were sitting, take a moment also just to sigh out. Sometimes that change from sitting to lying down can cause, sorry for the yawn, excuse me, but it can cause a tension to rise up that we might just want to let go of. And then from here, start to roll your shoulders up. And then exhale them down and back and reach your arms up into the sky. And then bend your elbows and take hold of opposite elbows above your chest. From here, take an inhale. And then as you exhale, draw your right elbow down towards the right side. So you're letting that left shoulder lift. And then inhale back through center and exhale over to the other side. So that right shoulder's lifting up now, left elbow anchoring. And then inhale, take it all the way back through center. Then reach your hands up into the sky and just interlace your fingers. And then draw the right knee in towards your chest and take the interlaced fingers over your right shin. Flex your right foot. And then lift your left leg up into the sky and flex that foot. All right. And actually, as I'm looking at my fluffy socks, which I'm just enjoying fluffy socks this winter, in traditional Chinese medicine, they link the uterus to the feet through certain lines, certain channels of the body. And so there's a belief in traditional Chinese medicine that keeping your feet warm is good for your reproductive health. So just throwing that out there. It's just a fun little fact about traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, so then we're going to take that left leg, bring it all the way down. And just take a few deep breaths here. Just letting that left hip flexor start to open up a bit. And take your right foot, bring it down, and then point your index fingers and your thumbs, leaving the rest of your fingers interlaced. Draw the arms down to the sides of your head. And then you're going to take an inhale and stretch back. And then walk your right foot so it's next to your left thigh, and then tip your right knee out to the side. So now we're starting to open that hip. And then again, we're inhaling and stretching back. So we just have this beautiful supine tree pose here, again, with that hip opener. And then slide and walk your arms towards the right. So just slide and walk your shoulders and your arms towards the right. No need to pick it up and turn, okay? The idea here is that we are opening up through the left side of the torso. And inhale, slide and walk the arms back to center. Take another stretch. And exhale, turn your right knee back up. And then this time start to draw the left knee into the chest and then reach your hands up, interlace the fingers over the left shin. If you need to adjust your back at all, please do. And then you're going to take your right foot up into the sky, flex that foot. And exhale. Take your right leg all the way down, coming into this knee to chest pose on this side. And then take that left foot down, reach your hands up, interlace your fingers, point your index fingers and your thumbs. Draw the arms down to the sides of your head. Stretch back. Walk your left foot up against your right leg and then tip that left leg out to the side. And again, take a nice long stretch here. And then slide and walk your shoulders over to the left. So now we're opening up through this right side. And slide and walk through center. Start to tip your left knee up. And then take your arms and bring them out to a T with your palms facing up. Bend your right leg, make any adjustments you might need to make in your lower back. And just walk your legs together there. Now, start to pick your right hand up and you're going to fold over onto the left side and just let your right hand connect to your left. And then keep sliding that right arm a little bit further out. So you're starting to just stretch into the upper back and the shoulder area there. And then start to draw the arm back and let yourself tip back up to center. Again, make any adjustments in your back so that you stay comfortable there. But before we take the other side, just with your legs together, I want you now to tip your knees out to the side. So the hips are starting to open up here. We're coming into a supine bound angle. Now, if you've done any of these classes before, you'll remember that hips are a really important part of talking about fertility yoga. Just to start to relax this part of the body, to open it up, to increase blood flow. There's so much to say about why we want to do hip openers when we're talking about fertility yoga. So we'll pretty much do hip openers every week to some degree. Take another breath here. And start to tip your legs back together. And you're going to lift your left arm up this time. Then you're going to roll into this side, onto your right side. Scooch back so I'm still in the frame. And then we're going to, again, slide that left arm a little bit further now. Just so, again, we're stretching into the upper body. And gently start to pull it back, roll all the way back through center again. And then draw the arms down to the sides of your chest. Walk your heels up towards your bottom, just as close as is comfortable. There's no need to wrench or torque your knees here. And then start to press through your feet. Inhale, lift the hips, lift the pelvis, lift the arms, taking your arms all the way to the earth behind you. And then exhale and slowly take it back down. Let's do 4 more. Inhale, lift. And exhale down. 3 more. Last one. And take your arms all the way down. Start to press through your feet. And then from here, you're going to inhale, lift the hips, lift the pelvis. And then interlace your fingers under your body and walk your shoulder blades in so that your shoulders are hugging around your spine. And we're just going to take some nice deep breaths here in bridge pose or Setu Bandhasana. I'm not sure if the microphone is actually picking up on this, but there is, one of my dogs is definitely farting in the background right now. So if you're hearing that, that's what that is. If you're not hearing it, well, now you know. Okay. All right. Now from here, play with lifting your heels up. Oh my God. I might get bombed out of the room in a second. And then exhale, take your heels back down. And then unwind your shoulders, take your back down to the earth, and draw the knees in towards your chest. Hug your legs. Take a moment just to sigh out here. Let's do another one of our hip openers while we're here. So take your hands to your knees, right to right and left to left. Draw the knees in towards your chest and then circle the knees away from each other and then back together. So we're taking them down, out, and back up and around. So just trying to increase the synovial fluid or the lubricant into the hip joint. And go the other way. Okay. And then take it all the way back to center. And cross your ankles, tuck the chin in towards your chest, and gently roll yourself up to seated. So you just rock yourself right on up to seated. And once you've come up to seated, start to lift your arms, inhale. And then exhale, hinge forward from your hips, bow down, and then you're going to roll over your knees and bring yourself up into a tabletop position. All right. And once you come into tabletop, we're going to take it straight into a puppy pose. So it's like a dog, it's like a dog in a play bow. So you're going to come down onto your forearms, leave your bottom up into the air, and then walk your arms out in front of you so that you can take your forehead down. Take a couple more breaths here. This is just for opening up your upper back and shoulders. And then slowly start to bring yourself back to a tabletop position. So you're going to bring your shoulders and your wrists in line and your knees and your hips in line. And we're going to take the gentlest form of a twist here. So it's not going to be any kind of deep twist, because those are things you want to avoid when we're, again, talking about things like IVF. So we're going to take the left forearm, bring it down to the floor, and just, that's it. Left forearm on the floor behind the right wrist, and we just turn to look past the right shoulder. That's all we're going to do here. So in yoga, typically you would take it all the way through and you would really go deep into that. But tonight, let's just avoid that. We're just wanting to love up the shoulders a little bit here too tonight. Yeah. All right. And then take it back up through center. And then exhale over to the other side. Just come onto the right forearm. Turn to look past the left shoulder. And then take it back to center. Roll your bottom back towards your heels. Extend your arms out in front of you. Take your forehead down. Oh, just go ahead and sigh out there. Sighing out into a child's pose, into Garbhasana. And then lift the head, lift the heart. And come up onto your fingertips out in front of you. And then spread your fingers nice and wide against the ground. Okay, so you've got these two starfish that are just suctioning the earth there. Then you're going to roll up towards your hands, curl the toes under behind you, send your hips back. And then take a little walk of your downward facing dog. So you're just bending one knee and then the other, just walking it out. And just keep that going there. And then push back into your full expression of that downward facing dog. So you're sending your hips back. Heels might not be on the floor, and that's okay. You're just taking that nice long stretch of your spine, of your legs. And then inhale, lift your right leg up to the sky. And exhale, bend your right knee, pointing your right toes over to the left side. Inhale, lift that right leg all the way back up. And then exhale, I want you to bring your right knee forward to the floor. Losing the sweater. There we go. Take your right knee all the way to the floor so that it's coming right behind your right wrist there. Okay. And then you're going to toe your right toes over towards that left wrist. So just to show you that from the front, it looks a bit like this with the foot out front. Now, in some traditions of yoga, you might find that people encourage you to kind of wrench the foot forward. I'm going to discourage you from doing that, okay? All I want you to do is just take that foot as far as it's happy to go, okay? And then we're going to toe the left leg back. So we are coming into pigeon or Kapotasana, which pigeon is is a pose that a lot of people find difficult because it's a deep hip opener. Okay, so I just want you to breathe. See if you can practice that sense of curiosity about the pose. Okay. All right, and then you're going to come up onto your fingertips. Well, actually, first, if that doesn't work, stay on your hands at a shoulder distance stance out in front of you. But if it's available to you, come up onto your fingertips, roll your shoulders back, really open up through your chest here. So we're really elongating the spine up. Now, things to be aware of. It's very easy to fall into the right bottom cheek, and then we kind of turn up and out to the side as we do that. Likewise, it's easy to fall into the left hand where we kind of turn up and out a bit like a bass clef in music. I guess without the dots, but if you don't read music, forget it. So we're not doing this, okay? What we're doing is we're opening up, okay? We're opening up straight, sorry. So think about your spine just being straight on versus turning out to the sides, okay? So we take another breath here. And then exhale. Start to come down. And then you can either stack your fists, taking your forehead onto stacked fists. You could stack your palms, forehead onto stacked palms, or, sorry, I hope my microphone's not totally in the way of this. And then we're going to, or you can extend your arms all the way out in front of you, taking your forehead onto the earth. But again, avoid the falling into either side. It's super easy to fall into either side. So just do the best that you can to keep your spine straight. Start to lift it back up. Come back onto your hands. Bring your hands so that your hands are flat on the earth, fingers spread out. Curl your left toes under. Take a step or two forward with that left leg. And then you might need to walk your hands as you do this. We're then going to start to push up into the hands and just kick that right leg back behind us. Exhale. Take your right foot, bring it back down, and then roll your shoulders back. Oh, and you're coming back into your downward facing dog. Now, start to lift your left leg up to the sky. And then exhale, bend your left knee, point your left toes over to the right side. So you're turning and opening that left hip. And inhale, left leg comes all the way back up. Exhale, bring your left foot forward. And then you're left knee forward, and you're bringing your left knee to your left wrist. And then you're going to toe your left toes over to the right, just as far as they'll go. Start to toe that right leg back. And again, we're setting up our pigeon or Kapotasana. Okay. And then from here, you can come up onto your fingertips, roll your shoulders back, open the chest, or you can stay down on your hands if that feels better to you tonight. Connect to your breath, deep breaths. And then exhale, come down onto your arms. You can either stack your fists, stack your palms, or take the arms all the way out in front. And I just want you to really breathe deeply into this. So one thing when we're using the breath, particularly in poses that might challenge us a little bit more, it can be nice to imagine that you're inhaling calm into the space that might be feeling tense, so the hip in this instance, and then exhaling that tension out of your body. So visualize it. Studies show that what we visualize has a physiological impact on the body. So inhale, feel this sense of calm coming down into your hip, and then exhale, feel the tension in your hip releasing, see it releasing. Take a few more breaths here. And start to lift the head, lift the heart. And walk back up into your hands. Curl your right toes under behind you. Lift it back up. And then you're going to kick that left leg all the way back. Oh, exhale. Take your left toes back down. Push it back once more into your downward facing dog. And then exhale, roll forward. Take your knees down, roll your bottom back, and come into a child's pose. Take the forehead down. And just allow yourself to sigh out here. And sometimes it can feel really nice to sway in a child's pose, to just let the hips roll side to side, let the forehead roll along the earth. Then bring it back to center. And then from here, slowly start to roll your body all the way back up. So you're coming back up to a seated position. Okay. Sorry, I just thought I heard my cat. I'm wondering if one of them might be outside. And then once you come back to seated, I actually want you to find a comfortable seated position because we're going to stay here for a few minutes. So you can either sit with your legs crossed. You might want to sit up onto something, up onto a bolster, onto a block. I'm just very quickly going to check the conservatory door to make sure I'm not losing my mind on this. Okay, I'm losing my mind. I don't know what I heard. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So once you find your seated position again, actually, let me say this because I didn't say this part. When you're sitting with your legs crossed, so for most people, this is more comfortable than sitting on your shins. That being said, for some people, this is still uncomfortable. So if you have very tight hips or if you have a lot of tension in the lower back, often what happens is we kind of feel like we're being drawn back if there's that tightness there, and you might not, and I'm really exaggerating right now, but you might feel this way, right? You might feel like there's pressure and it's uncomfortable, or your knees might be up really high and it's like, this is not a comfortable place to sit. In which case, sit on something. As soon as you sit up onto a cushion, onto a couple pillows, onto a few blocks, what that does is it just enables, so I've got a couple blocks here. So when you sit up onto something, it just allows for the hips to drop down. I mean, you can see that straight away. It just allows for the hips to drop down. It's much more comfortable if there is tension in the hips. And then also that will have the knock-on effect to helping to relax the lower back if there is that tension there, okay? So, and you know, I personally, I don't have a problem sitting in Sukhasana with the legs crossed, but this is still really nice. So it's not as if you have to have a problem or a discomfort to use a yoga prop. Yoga props are brilliant. And again, they don't have to be yoga props. They can be a cushion from your couch or a pillow, or something else that you use in a makeshift way. Okay. All right. So once you've come back to seated, take an inhale, roll the shoulders up. Exhale them down and back. And then from here, we're going to do one of those vagus nerve exercises. So this is an exercise to help downregulate your nervous system. So we can get into patterns of stress in the same way that we can get into patterns of the way that we stand, the way that we brush our teeth. We can also, again, we can condition ourselves to certain stressful patterns, stress responses. This is particularly true, unfortunately, if you experienced trauma in childhood. Sometimes the nervous system is a bit more amped up, or more easily amped up if you grew up in an anxious state. So even if that's not the case, again, into adulthood, you can still get into these patterns. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use an exercise that's basically just a circuit breaker, to help, again, downregulate the nervous system. So we've done these types of exercises before. I don't know if we've ever done this one before. But I just want you to be gentle as you're doing this. I taught this online on Sunday night. I teach a free class on an app called Insight Timer. I teach a restorative yoga class, which of course you're all welcome to go to that. It's a free class. Sundays at 7 p.m. UK time. And that involves yoga blocks and bolsters and things. And someone said they kind of hurt themselves doing this, but it was just because she was pulling really hard on her head. There's no pulling on your head here, okay? No pulling on the head. So what I want you to do first is just check in with your neck, check in with your shoulders, just see how things are. So to do that check-in, sit up tall, close your eyes. And then turn your head to one side and just notice where the tension points are. Notice how easily it turns. And start to turn your head back to center and around to the other side. Again, notice the points of tension. And bring your head back to center. Now, take your right hand up and bring it to the left side of your head towards your ear. Then take your left hand around and hug your ribs. You're then going to pull your ribs towards the left and let your head tip down towards the right. Now, this is what I'm saying, where you don't want to wrench or pull, okay? It's a gentle pressure. It's nothing more than that. Now, it gets weird. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to turn your eyes up to the left corners as far as you can, and we're going to hold that position. It can be uncomfortable with the eyes, but it's no different than if you just suddenly started running. Or last night I did a boxing session for the first time, and my shoulders are killing me today. It's the same. It's your body responds to new things, getting used to them. You can blink. You can definitely allow for any responses. So if you feel the need to yawn, sigh, swallow, anything, take a deep breath, anything like that. Okay. And then gently start to lift it all the way back to center. Let your eyes come back to center. Release your arms down, sigh out. Okay, now we're going to go the other way. So left hand comes up to the right side of the head, right hand wraps around for a hug, and then we just tip the head, pull the ribs, turn the eyes up to the right as far as they can go, and we just hold and we breathe. Let your eyes come back to center, tip your head back up, unwind. And again, just allow yourself to sigh, to yawn. Excuse me, anything that naturally comes. And then again, just check in with the head. Turning the head from one side to the other. Noticing if there's any changes there. There may or may not be. I find about 2/3 of my clients really experience shifts with this, but not everyone does. So, and some exercises you might find more effective than others. All right. So from here, I'm just thinking about the last things that I would like to do with you tonight. So from here, let's actually, if you're sitting up onto something, go ahead and take it out from underneath you. Okay. And then start to unwind your legs and bring yourself back down onto your back. And then once you come down onto your back, take a moment just to sigh out. And then if there are any last little movements that you would like to do here, just go ahead and let yourself stretch out in any last ways that you would like to stretch before getting yourself comfortable and relaxed down onto your back. And feel free to grab a blanket or anything else that might keep you warm here. And then when you're ready, again, just come down onto your back. And you can either bend your knees or extend the legs out, letting them just flop and splay. And once you come down, just close your eyes. And take a few last deep inhales through the nose, with exhales sighing or blowing the air out of the mouth. And then once you've sighed out a few times, just let your natural breath take over again. And allow your eyelids to become heavy over your eyes. And just feel yourself starting to melt down. And as you relax down here, check in again with your breath. Notice it. Likewise, check in with your mind, your body, and your feelings. And just notice if or how they might have worked together this last hour. And if you did find shifts from when you checked in with yourself at the beginning of the practice to now, file that away. Remind yourself that you do have the ability to bring calm into yourself, that you do have the ability to start to relax. And as you relax here tonight, I just want to read a poem by Mary Oliver. And some of you might know this poem, but I'm going to read this poem. It just seems like the right thing to do tonight for whatever reason. So this is the poem Wild Geese, again by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. And just start to deepen your breath now. And draw some movement back into your fingers and your toes again. And slowly roll to one side and bring yourself back up to seated. When you come back to seated, just bring your hands into prayer in front of your heart. And then gently bow. honoring your body, your light, your practice on this earth. And thank you all so much for coming and practicing. That's all for tonight. For the month of December, these classes will be on YouTube. And actually probably the first week of January as well, because because I'll be flying back to the UK from the US the first Thursday of January. So they will be on YouTube until the first week of January, but I think we will look at putting these sessions back on Zoom from the second week of January. I've had some feedback from a few of you, and I know that you did appreciate the Zoom sessions, even though we did have that Zoom Raider. I don't even remember when that was, a couple months back. So yes, that being said, if you do these classes on YouTube and you can't attend the Zoom session, you might be in another part of the world, or maybe this time slot just isn't the right one for you and you do these later, I will do my best to take the recordings and put them onto YouTube after the class, okay? But yeah, I think we'll go back on Zoom from the second week of January, so that we can again interact in the comments and anything else that you guys might like. Okay, that's all for tonight. Have a beautiful weekend coming up, and see you next week. Lots of love.